This is CBC Vancouver News.
How prepared is BC to deal with the incoming heat?
We really want to try to communicate with the public as clearly as possible about heat.
And what's changed since the deadly warm weather event 2 years ago? Plus, new warnings about feeding dangerous wildlife after a coyote attacked a 2-year-old in Port Coquitlam.
It's a little concerning, I guess.
How Mounties intervened and what happened to the animal. And more backlash over Terry Fox being removed from Canada's new passport design.
The amount of stuff that he's done and the fact that he's the Port Coquitlam hometown hero.
And the deeper explanation around why it's happened. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. Dan is away tonight. An incoming heat wave will be blanketing much of the province starting this weekend. It's good news for those tired of the cool spring weather, but as Joel Ballard reports, the scorching temperatures come with a lot of risk and some warnings.
The sun is out across much of BC.
Ready. I love the sun. I'm already wearing shorts and a tank top.
In Vancouver, many are taking in the rays and ready for the coming heat wave on Friday.
I look forward to it not as a forever thing, but as a wonderful contrast to the spring we've had.
There are special heat advisories across many parts of BC. The province says the interior, lower mainland, and sea to sky areas will hit the low to mid 30s.
We are seeing temperatures above normal by 10 to 15 degrees, and we are anticipating daily temperature records to be broken.
To put it frankly,
it is going to be hot, and it is the hottest weekend of this year, 2023.
Dick says everyone needs to be prepared.
Stay hydrated, check on your family, friends, and anyone who might be vulnerable to heat-related illness.
The province says it has worked hard since the deadly heat dome 2 summers ago when hundreds died from heat-related illnesses, implementing a hot weather communication system.
We really want to try to communicate with the public as clearly as possible about heat.
In BC, when it comes to hot weather, there are 3 levels of communication. A special weather statement for the first heat of the season, as it takes time for a population to acclimate to hot weather. A heat warning, it's issued when daytime highs and overnight lows are expected to be higher than the regional temperature threshold for at least 2 days while remaining stable. And extreme heat emergencies. This warning is sent to the public when all the criteria of a heat warning is met, and temperatures are expected to increase considerably each day for 3 or more days.
So we're first of all trying to help people identify whether they might be at risk during hot weather. And for those people who are at risk, the steps that they can take to help protect themselves.
The heat wave is expected to carry through till Tuesday. Joel Ballard, CBC News, Vancouver.
Flooding here in BC and the wildfires in Alberta both have the federal government thinking more about emergency preparedness, and now the unveiling of a new plan called the National Risk Assessment. It will help train 1,000 firefighters to deal with climate-related emergencies and earthquakes, and it will also aim to future-proof some infrastructure projects if conditions get more severe.
We've got a great deal more work to do to mitigate and to create greater resiliency in every part of Canada in response to these events. And it's important that we look at predictive models about not just where we are, but where we're going. And so simply rebuilding back as we once, if we build it back exactly as it was previously, we remain vulnerable. We leave Canadians at risk. And that's why.
A 2-year-old is recovering after being bitten by a coyote last night in Port Coquitlam. The attack happened at a playground in Lions Park. As Yasmin Granea reports, there are signs the coyote had grown accustomed to human food, heeding strong warnings from conservation officers.
The child was taken to hospital after the attack, luckily only suffering minor injuries. The incident happened shortly after 8 p.m. in Lions Park. The coyote was killed near the attack site.
At this time, the coyote was seen attacking a toddler, and police officers chased after the coyote and located the coyote hiding in a bush, and ultimately shot the coyote to ensure the safety of the public.
Parents and those using the park expressing their concern.
Here? Yeah. Wow. I don't know, but I think it's grave.
Well, startling, I guess, you know. Kids play. I have 2 kids. They're small, and they like to run over there, so it's a little concerning, I guess.
Generally, they're pretty far away, but yeah, we're still gonna have fun. I'm not living in fear. No.
Conservation officers found evidence that the animal had eaten what officials call non-natural food sources. The BC Conservation Officer Service reminding the public it is illegal to feed dangerous wildlife. The agency urges people to take precautions in case of coyote encounters, including leashing their pets and traveling in groups. Yasmin Ranea, CBC News, Vancouver.
Vancouver City Council has voted for a car-free Gastown. Now the city will start working on the details of the plan. Starting as soon as this summer, Gastown will be car-free on certain weekends, and that could turn into an entire month. The pedestrian pilot program will cost $10 million and is part of the city's Gastown revitalization project aimed at sprucing up the popular tourist destination. Ottawa's decision to remove the image of Terry Fox in its new passport design is drawing criticism from across Canada, including here in his hometown. Our Michelle Gassoub spoke with residents in Port Coquitlam today, many of whom say Terry Fox should still be featured.
In Port Coquitlam, monuments to Terry Fox are easy to find, and memories of his marathon of hope often front of mind.
I mean, you must remember.
Yes, I remember watching. Following.
Wow.
I do, yes.
Ottawa's decision to exclude Fox from its newest Canadian passport design has been met with disappointment from those here who want to see their hometown hero represented to the world.
He should be in it, I think. I mean, the amount of stuff that he's done and the fact that he's the Port Coquitlam hometown hero, I think he should absolutely be in the passport.
The federal government says the redesigned passports will enhance security measures and feature a polycarbonate data page and temperature-sensitive ink. Other iconic Canadian images like Vimy Ridge Memorial and the Stanley Cup have also been replaced with imagery of nature.
For a country as diverse as Canada, with incredible heroes and lots of monumental events, just to have them narrowed down to random guy pushing wheelbarrow or arm cutting wood doesn't make a lot of sense.
The matter being raised for a second day in a row in question period, with the Liberal government defending the move, saying Terry Fox will never be erased from history, amid Conservative outcry.
Mr. Speaker, quote, "Whoever made the decision to remove Terry Fox from Canadian passports need to give their head a shake. Our country needs more Terry Fox, not less."
Back in Port Coquitlam, the impact is just that much closer to home.
In every ordinary Canadian's spirit, you know, it's lifting up so many people's spirit and help us through many difficult times. Just think about what he's been through.
Governments are inclined to make changes for valid reasons, but I think government, the minister should step back and try to understand just what the emotional impact is, and particularly for this city.
A place where Terry Fox's memory is held close. Michelle Gassoub, CBC News, Port Coquitlam.
An attempt by players to revive the now obsolete Simon Fraser University football team has failed. The BC Supreme Court has denied an injunction by 5 players hoping to have the team brought back after the university suddenly ended the 57-year-old program. The university says the move was prompted by the American-based NCAA not inviting the team to continue playing in their Lone Star Conference for the 2024 season. The decision received tremendous backlash and criticism. Despite the failure by players to revive the team in court, the university says it has appointed a special advisor to explore future football options. A group here in Canada is working to create a professional women's basketball league in the country. A recent report by Canadian sports leaders found the women's sports market here is ripe for investment and fandom is building. We spoke with Harleen Dulé, the first South Asian woman to play in the NCAA. She explains why it's important for Canada to have its own women's league and what it would take to make it work.
And it's so important, I think, for us to have a professional league here in Canada that allows women and girls that are from Canadian soil to have a place to go if there is nowhere else to go. Of course, financial support is going to be huge. But even just the amount that we're talking about it now and the interest that has been generated over the years is a huge stepping stone, because this is not how it was when I first started playing. So to see that growth play out in the last 10, 15, 20 years is incredible. And so we just need to continue to push for it. And we need to come together as communities from each of the provinces and really push for this.
Doctors of BC is calling for solutions to overcrowded emergency rooms after a doctor at Langley Memorial Hospital urged colleagues to ask patients to go somewhere else if they're having an emergency. That email was sent earlier this week. Doctors of BC says it highlights how Langley Memorial was overrun with patients. The organization says it's a similar problem at ERs across the province, often amplified by other issues.
We've had problems with overcrowding for probably 15 to 20 years, but now add in a recent pandemic, increased violence in the emergency department, likely from frustration from many patients at the waits, then add in a mental health crisis in addition to substance use, and emergency physicians, emergency nurses, allied healthcare providers, some of them are just simply leaving, which is further exacerbating our human health care crisis.
Adding to those issues, there aren't enough resources for patients in need of specific care, like seniors.
About 13% of inpatient beds in our hospital system last year were taken up by patients who were in what they call alternative level of care. These are mostly frail elderly seniors who cannot be provided a space or support in the community, and they're stuck in the hospital.
Health Minister Adrian Dix says the province is trying to bring a group of family physicians to Langley Memorial Hospital to address the overcrowding. Residents of a South Surrey co-op housing complex have been left reeling after they say the land their homes sit on was literally sold out from underneath them. As Bell Puri reports, the residents, many of them pensioners, are now faced with a difficult choice: pay way more or find a new home.
In a quiet enclave surrounded by trees, it's a close-knit cooperative housing community that has flourished for decades. Now there's turmoil.
It was a shock.
A new landowner, a numbered company, has taken over since the complex's 40-year lease expired in December. Suddenly, the cost to live here has skyrocketed.
We were paying about $935 a month, and now we're going to pay $2,750. I can't. I'm an old age pensioner. I'm 82. And there's no way we can pay that kind of money.
Starting July 1st, residents in the 58 units will see their monthly fees triple.
I'm on a pension. I only make $2,100 a month. How am I going to pay $1,600 plus my insurance, and things like that? I'd wind up with, I think, $8 a month to live on. Can't be done.
Fee increase notices were left in mailboxes. Manish Katyal, a co-owner of a local community newspaper, is the name behind the numbered company. He declined an interview. What's happening here is happening across the province, happening across the country. Decades ago, when these leases were written, no one anticipated today's extraordinary land values or housing crisis.
Unfortunately, way back then, people didn't think that we should give these co-ops ownership of the land or have the ownership be held by a kind of a government agency.
Finding alternative affordable housing isn't easy.
I've been on a wait list for several co-ops, actually, for 6 years. There are no vacancies. Subsidized housing, I was told 300 people before my name on the list.
As a co-op, the complex isn't covered by Residential Tenancy Act rules.
The government should step up and say, we'll leave it like this.
leaving it as a co-op because the rents outside of the co-op, like I say, they would take my whole paycheck.
Future plans for the property are unknown. Residents have been told if they stay and pay the new fees for 2 years, they'll get a $13,000 buyout to leave. 2 years ago, the land was assessed at $13 million.
I mean, my husband and I probably haven't slept a full night since this happened.
The residents plan to seek legal advice, but admit there seems to be no simple solution. Belle Puri, CBC News, Surrey.
The highly anticipated The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom video game went on sale earlier tonight. A long line of local fans could be seen outside GameStop in Metrotown, anxiously waiting to get their hands on the new game.
Because the game's coming out, and that's pretty cool. I've been waiting like 4 years for that one, so pretty excited about that.
It's a long time between releases. They're fantastic games. This game already has amazing reviews. And
I've been playing the game since I was 10, and one of my favorite series.
The dedicated fans who dressed up in the Legend of Zelda themed costumes received goodies while waiting to get inside the store. The game has been named one of the most anticipated game launches of 2023. It's a day marked by brunch, bouquets, and maybe even a boat ride on the water. We've got some last-minute Mother's Day ideas coming up after the break. Thanks for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. George Gordon First Nation has a rink, but it's not being used as much as it should be. That's because some of the children in the community about 100 kilometers north of Regina have never owned skates. But now that's about to change. Dozens of children were recently gifted brand new hockey equipment to help foster their talent.
Today's an exciting day. We have Gordon First Nation in. We are kind of revamping their hockey program and sport program. So we have them in coming in to learn some more about the new product that's out and also get fit head to toe with some product, which is going to help them get on the ice and be more active. As we know, sport brings people together and it's a lot of fun. So this is an exceptional night. It's wonderful.
We have many kids that want to play hockey but no equipment, and it's a struggle for their parents, of course, to buy equipment, and struggle for the kids to get in the league. We've struggled in our community with many tragic things that go on, and like any other community, we have addiction problems, and many of our kids suffer, and we don't, sometimes they're forgotten about. So today, with the help of Extreme and Donnie and Jared and anybody else that helped, we've partnered up, brought some of our kids in to be fitted with hockey equipment. Hopefully, they will continue and play hockey after they get some equipment and be proud of our community.
I know it's been very quiet, and I know some of the children here, that was their friend and our community members, so it kind of affects all the community. It's a sad situation, and nobody wants to see such things happen, and this is a great opportunity to kind of help bridge our children together and make them stronger, and kind of use sport as a way of building up that self-esteem.
when you were told you're getting new equipment, what was your first equipment that you thought of right away that you wanted to pick out?
New sticks and new skates.
I believe in that sport and recreation. Everybody needs a chance to get out there and have some fun. As we know, there's challenges all the way through when it comes to hockey, baseball, all those other sports out there. We want to make sure that it's an easy access point for them to get out there, create friends and bonds that last a lifetime, and you never know what could happen. But at the end of the day, just getting out there and having fun.
The hope is that we're going to be going to other communities and playing against their team and be like, oh wow, I want to continue this, and maybe one day we'll have somebody out. One of our younger children will be the next Connor Bedard or Connor McDavid, and that's all we can hope and wish for, and that's the opportunity we want to give them.
Not too tight.
Well, it's going to be a scorcher of a weekend, and if you're looking for somewhere to go to soak up the sun while also getting a little reprieve, Lisa Christensen has some ideas in this week's Getting Out.
Hi, I'm Lisa Christensen, and this is Getting Out, your weekly rundown of some of the events you might want to take in this weekend. And today, we're in North Vancouver, the Shipyards.
And welcome to the Shipyards.
So what is the Friday night market? What happens?
It's in its 10th year right now. It's been, a huge community attraction. The artisans come and set up at around 3 p.m. The entertainment takes place on the stage at Shipbuilder Square, featuring Henry Brown this Friday as the headliner.
So now we're here in the afternoon, and there are lots of people out enjoying the sun, but give me a sense of what it's going to look like.
On average, the Friday night market brings between 1,500 to 2,000 people.
And if people don't know where they're going when they get over here on the sea bus, what should they look for?
For the red roofs and the big yellow crane.
If you didn't already know, this Sunday is Mother's Day. Time to make those brunch plans or spend Mother's Day weekend at the Glades Woodland Garden in Surrey. Explore one of the Lower Mainland's largest collections of rhododendrons and azaleas. At Nat Bailey Stadium on Mother's Day, it's A&W Family Fun Sunday. A free visor for the first 500 mothers. The Vancouver Canadians are taking on the Everett Aqua Sox. And also, there's the Mother's Day traditional powwow at Trout Lake. It's a 3-day event, Friday through Sunday. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And before we go, I've really got to find out, what does this button do?
Here we have a live shot of Harbour Centre. Colette Kennedy will have your full forecast coming up next.
The birth of a nation was celebrated today in northern British Columbia, the Niska Nation. It was born out of a long 113-year struggle by the Niska for self-government and for land, almost 2,000 square kilometers in the Nass Valley. Terry Malevsky was there for the ceremony to mark an historic change.
He's singing it in the Niska language, although the young people here don't really know "O Canada" in any language. In fact, for years, Niska elders have told their children that this is not our song. But today, they cheered for the unwanted anthem because the Niska Treaty is finally in force, and the elders say they have at last joined Canada willingly.
We are no longer wards of the state, no longer wards of the government. We are no longer beggars in our own land.
The suffocating weight and shackles of the Indian Act are gone and gone forever.
This was a day of triumph, especially for Chief Joe Gosnell, now president of the Niska government. Yesterday, his new government sat for the very first time and passed 18 laws, setting up what Gosnell calls the Niska Nation.
We didn't have to go to Ottawa or consult with the Minister of Indian Affairs. We exercised our right to govern ourselves.
The Niska lands comprise a wild and spectacular 1,900 square kilometers of the remote Nass River Valley, home to about 3,000 Niska people who live in hard-scrabbled villages without paved roads. They hope that their independence will bring prosperity. It is now 113 years since the Niska chiefs first started trying to make a deal for their land with the white man. Now that they finally got that deal, the challenge, they say, will be to provide jobs for young people, to keep them here on the land that they've worked so hard to get. That will not be easy, according to Emma Nice, a sister to Joe Gosnell. She has 23 grandchildren, but 18 of them have left the valley, and she wonders if they'll ever come back.
Well, to be honest, maybe few of them will, not all of them. Like these ladies there. They say, Mom, we love it here, but we can't live here. There's no work.
Her brother promises to change that, but there is a long way to go. He's asking his people to be patient, and that, it seems, is something the Niska know how to do. Terry Malewski, CBC News, Gitwinsilk, BC.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell. Here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
May is Asian Heritage Month, and we're celebrating by sharing the stories of amazing Asian Canadians who are making meaningful contributions in the community. Visit cbc.ca/BC Community to learn more. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC Vancouver's e-newsletter at cbc.ca/Vancouver inbox and keep connected with us.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Meteorologist Colette Kennedy is in for Johanna Wagstaff tonight. We've heard a lot about heat domes lately. Colette, can you explain why this is not considered a heat dome?
Sure. When folks hear about this kind of a pattern that's coming our way, it makes us all think back to 2021, of course. But there are differences here in terms of the scope and the intensity and the duration. And likely the most important thing is knowing that that was at end of June and towards early July, and this is only mid-May. And because of that, the kind of heat we'll be seeing will not be as extreme, and also it's not likely to last as long. We'll be watching that part carefully, but right now it's looking like kind of just ramping up tomorrow and then really taking hold as we go into the weekend and early next week, and then should be subsiding as we get into Monday and Tuesday. Finally, those temperatures by Wednesday really coming down, if not Tuesday, depending on your location. And also, if you look at some of the readings, we're looking at maybe some mid-30s showing up, as opposed to what we saw 2 years ago with Lytton, the hottest temperature ever recorded in Canada at nearly 50 degrees. All right, doesn't mean you don't need to use some caution and take it easy. We're still looking at a lot of heat here, so a special weather statement is in place, and then we have the air quality statement still to the north. So how do we kind of look at that? It's similar in some of the atmospherics here, but we've got an upper ridge that is building in. As it does, it keeps the rain at bay towards the north coast and central coast, and we get a strong upper high that develops, but it sets up shop for a few days, and then we should be seeing that kicking on. Tonight, not feeling it yet, mostly clear conditions, 9 degrees, and then for tomorrow, mostly sunny, 23, but inland Vancouver, we're talking about more like 28, and then kind of climbing from there. So just a little reminder about what you need to do when we do have very warm conditions so you do stay safe, keeping in mind that extreme heat is the #1 cause of illness or death in Canada when it comes to any kind of weather-related hazard. So just a bit of a reminder on that as we're coming into the season. And then looking ahead at those temperatures and what they're looking like for Metro Vancouver as we go towards Sunday, Monday, likely the peak, and then it begins to come down. And of course, Sunday being Mother's Day, well, all right, I'm sure Mom will appreciate some of the sunshine and the dry conditions. However, they do stick with us. So yes, we're looking at issues here, not just for our health, but exacerbating wildfire areas and also some of that snow melt, which can then enhance some of the flooding that we've been seeing.
Thanks so much, Colette. I guess Colette and I are both feeling the fuchsia tonight. That is your late news for this Thursday. Thank you so much for watching. For news anytime, visit our website, cbc.ca/BC. Have a great night.